All right, folks, we are back. Thank you for watching that break, and we've just gone straight to the in-game screen because the match is starting. And once again, it is going to be PiLiPiLi versus Creature. Also, shout-outs to a couple of subs we had while we were on break, but most notably, Rod404, who just won the Big Mac Sauce sub to the channel. Glad to have you with us, sir. But of course, for the folks who have also recently subbed, oh my god, it's Edward, and wait, why didn't that refresh? One sec, guys. There we go. I knew there was other subs in there. I was like, WTF. August 27 BC was a 12-month resub, saying I only sub to watch VODs and drunk stream, ... Well, thanks for sticking with us for 12 months. Say it fast. Say it fast, say it fast, say it fast. For 1 month was a brand new sub. Glad to have you on board, and I think that catches us up. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting into game number 1. Best of 3 here for the round of 8. In the bottom right, we have the red Protoss PiLiPiLi.
In the top left is the blue Protoss. He is Creature.
Now, Creature is a really good player who I think is perhaps not seen by many, especially because you don't see him a lot of online. Like, there's not a lot of online NA things going on. PiLiPiLi's had a few good tournament runs, and he's made it far through some important qualifiers. So I think he's probably the more popular of the two, if I had to guess. That being said, I also think he might just be a little bit better. And I only say this because I've seen a lot of PiLiPiLi's PvPs, not a lot of Creatures.
A lot of PiLiPiLi's PvPs? A lot of PvPs?
I've seen Psystorm Gaming's Pink Protoss player PiLiPiLi's PvPs.
He's not pink.
He's dark pink right now.
Dark pink. Okay, well, that'll work. I'll give you that one. Anyways, okay, well, I mean, I agree. I think everyone knows PiLiPiLi more than they know the name Creature, and I think that he is better. But I'm actually trying to confirm because I do not catch a lot of North American stuff.
I just thought of what I want. So like, we can't really brand a sauce or food products after us, right? But you know what would be really cool? A fucking drink, a BaseTradeTV drink, something where like you take like a red shot and a blue shot, and you drop it in Jaeger or something. You know what I mean? Like something special. That would be cool. Do we have any bartenders here? Does anyone like well versed with alcohol that could make something cool like that?
My mom like told a bartender to make something that what he would think if it was called the zombie grub. So he made a drink that he knows, and I forget what he called it, but it's like very sweet. It's like some like, you know, like sweet like strawberry or cherry liqueur or something like that.
Oh, that's already
something else
wrong.
In it. Is it though? And then
if I'm making a zombie grub, I think you start with sour and grouchy. And
yeah, sorry. it was a sweet sour thing. Like I really liked it. It was like totally my drink, so that worked out too. But the thing that made like a zombie grub, the reason like he said it like it fit him, or it like fit in his mind, the name is because you put like Bailey's in or whatever, and it kind of like does like that curdling thing where it turns into what looks like kind of like brain remnants. Ah,
interesting.
Yeah. So if there was, I would take that drink to name zombie grub. I don't know what the BaseTradeTV one would be though.
Well, I know that EXP bar, there's like a nuclear drink, the Megaton or something. You like put 2 different shots together and then chug it in the drink that it falls into. Kind of like you're making a nuclear reaction or something. Something like that would be cool.
Oh, yep.
But yo, we do have a bit of a scuffle on our hands. 4 Stalkers versus 4 Stalkers, but 2 very different tech paths behind this. Now, both players are taking their expos at reasonable timings and similar enough, so it doesn't really matter. But PiLiPiLi's throwing down a proxy because he's also adding in a Stargate to his play. Also, Creature taking an amazing start to the Stalker fight.
Which I would say is pretty bad news for PiLiPiLi. He could not even like win the Stalker fight, but as long as he didn't lose it, which officially I think at that point he did, taking down a Stalker, he could continue being aggressive even with a slow warp in, and then you get this aggression on the front lines. They're quite worried about it. They put their pylons on the front lines as well, thinking that it's going to be a like only direct attack to the front, and then that's where you swoop into the back and get the Oracle to get a lot of kills. It's like a perfect scenario, but it's already like, you know, that trade was nice for Creature. He's obviously has like a very similar number of Stalkers, so there really only will be like 1 or 2 Stalker differences as PiLiPiLi reinforces here slowly. But as long as he's distracting, then the Oracle get a lot of damage. Does he already have Guardian Shield? He does. Well, that's probably going to make him win the Stalker War no matter what.
Well, so that's what's interesting still about this, because even if the Stalker War doesn't go well for PiLiPiLi, as long as everybody's looking right here at the front of the natural, then the Oracle goes to the main and kills all the probes.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to have him, like, eyes off. But, like, I feel like this is a fairly obvious move. Like, if things are really heated and you're, like, microing and barely holding on and, like, oh shit, I didn't have a second photon overcharge, like, something like that, then that's when the Oracle gets a lot of damage done. But it, like, as Creature took the initial engagement well, and then obviously was well defended for the further engagement, he should have in his mind, like, okay, there's probably gonna be an Oracle. But maybe expecting in the main too much. Mothership Core is full energy in the main base, not over here protecting the probes. So,
No.
5 is not bad.
And denies mining time, which is really valuable in a mirror matchup, but the Oracle does get taken out. Another one on its way to replace it, however.
Yeah. That's still, I mean, 5 probes for the Oracle I think is actually nice. And if there was a second Oracle, then that would be a lot off of Creature's mind. But there is, so he might just lose more probes. And he's attacking right now, and he has an Immortal, I think, with his army being pushed across the map. 4 sentries with a lot of energy. And the Militia Corps finally does get into a good position, so this Oracle is also going to go down.
Still got
This
some
is
nice
scary.
kills. If Pili, it's unlikely, right? But if Pili can overcome with the defense, he'll be way better off. He's got 8 probe lead, which is not too shabby to PvP. The thing is, though, this Void Ray might just be enough to tip the tide of battle, and you got the Immortal on the way afterwards. So I really think PiLiPiLi, with an overcharge or 2 in his pocket, should be able to defend this.
I think so too, but those force fields could be devastating. I was going to say if PiLiPiLi moves out a little bit too far forward, it should definitely be very defensive here. And if he is defending well, then like that lead of probes will definitely give him a big boost as the game goes on. No one started tech yet, which is kind of funny. Like, that is to say Twilight Council tech, so like no Blink or Resonant Glaives on the way. And they depth, so man, just sneak in here. That was a really nice move.
Still, though, they get cleaned up in reasonable time, so only 5 probes die, but that does even up the probe count. Force Field also traps the Immortal out. Was a little bit scary, but now that the Immortal's on the low ground, there's 3 overcharges, a couple of Zealots to soak hits, and of course that Void Ray, at any point, if it prismatically aligns, sure, it might get taken out, but it's going to do a hell of a lot of damage before it does. In fact, 2 of them probably shred through most of these Stalkers.
Kind of weird to see so many Zealots here from PiLiPiLi. He had like 5 of them.
Well,
And, you know,
if they're busy soaking the hits, the Void Rays aren't, and of course if you ignore the Void Rays and shoot the Zealots, and the Void Rays are killing you too. Like, it's they're getting screwed by the Force Fields right now, but the Force Fields are gone.
yeah. That's kind of the perfect world scenario for Zealots, and in a Jiffy, like, they can be very helpful, but in this case, I'm not sure that they were more helpful than just warping into depths.
Ooh, Prismatic Alignment's down. I don't know if they get the Warp Prism. He does chase it
Ah,
off. He
Warp
does kill the Warp Prism. He fights off the attack, and Creature shut down.
Yeah, just too many good units against just what ended up being pure Stalkers as the sentries went down. I mean, the Force Fields,
That-
they had that chance, but the tech was good for PiLiPiLi.
I think once the sentries went down, a retreat was certainly in order. Like, that was a soft contain out of Creature. It was never like a hard contain, and he wasn't trying to win the game with it. The problem is, he may have thrown the game with it.
I think he did. And it really, it is too, like, if he had just chosen a soft contain, realizing that he's gonna have to cut his losses very soon,
The
then
slow,
maybe he was already on his way to Blink, but he's only just finishing up his Twilight Council.
the slow Warp and Stalker flank actually kills quite a few here for Creature. This is costly. That Void Ray really doesn't have much left to shoot back against it. It's mostly the Overcharge and 2 Stalkers and 2 Void Rays, prismatically aligned or not. It's a lot of damage to take out the Mothership Core in seconds flat. And of course, that Void Ray is still going ham for a few more moments before it finally gets pushed off. Falls back, only to have the Stalkers bait themselves into Immortal Fire. And PiLiPiLi still has the upper hand.
Yeah, PiLiPiLi is looking quite good. And I mean, I don't think he can make the same mistake as Creature because his army supply is so much better. But even if he did, I think he would recognize the get out button a little bit sooner and would probably just take a macro game from here. But it's going to be him over.
Yeah, PiLiPiLi, the difference in tech is always scary. Like, if you go for a Stargate the way he did, and the Oracles get shut down as fast as they did, then it's really concerning that Creatures Immortals kill you in the meantime, the in-between. But that defense was good, the counter was better, the probes are dead, and GG, PiLiPiLi takes game number 1. Not too bad.
Are we holding semifinals?
We shouldn't be.
Okay.
Although I haven't actually talked to Darius to confirm.
Yeah, I actually just had Fear Dragon message me. I guess he's talking with them.
Yeah, so I whispered Dares. I said, don't hold anything unless we specifically ask for it. But this might end up being, now that we got the awkwardness of that, being staggered out if he did hold it.
Oh. Okay, I think they gave me a second map. Yeah, they did. Odyssey. I want to say I really like PvP. I feel like there's been like races with regions for a long time, but North America's always been kind of like the. Do they really have a race assigned to them? Because obviously it's Korean Terrans and European Zergs. I don't
Protoss,
think North American Protosses is really a saying.
I would say it used to, though, right? Like Hawk and Puck were two real big forerunners. Recently, of course, we've had folks like PiLiPiLi take up those reins. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's as
thing.
Yeah, it's not nearly as dominant as the other regions, but it is one I would associate with it.
Yeah, and I do. So I think this is the race that actually is different than maybe, well, very obviously different than Korea, and even I think different than European too. Like the Protosses are playing a little bit different in North America. So I actually like if I'm choosing a matchup to cast in North America specifically, just in a weird situation, I get my choices. I would probably choose a PvP. I really like it.
I'm on that same boat. PvP, and I'm surprised to say it, ZVZ has actually been really good lately.
I still like to.
Well, a couple things to note as we get into game. First off, this is still the Gameland North American Qualifiers. Going to be hosted over at the North by Northeast Plaza over in Yonge Dundas Square in Toronto, June 16th through 18th. I hope you guys will come out if you're in Toronto. From what I understand, there's no tickets. It'll be just like a legit show up, and it's a festival. It's an open area, but it's gonna be exciting and fun to go cast there live. That's for sure. And we'll find out which of these folks here will be doing it through these qualifiers. He's up 1-0 in the bottom right. It's Psystorm Gaming's PiLiPiLi, spawning as dark pink Protoss.
In the top left is the blue Protoss. He is Creature. And I did check the Illegal Act scores. PiLiPiLi has won every single time they've played. He's big enough to be on Illegal Act, so.
Oh, wow.
Defense. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's 5 times. That's 5 times over the last, 3 years. Obviously, ladder could be different.
I feel like, though, there are a lot of games out there, or a lot of players out there who don't have a clear-cut dynamic, where they'll be like, okay, at least one game was taken, but it's heavily favored in the other. To be 100%, though, that's crazy.
Even the scores were 2-0, 3-0s. So
damn.
I'm sure PiLiPiLi has a lot of confidence. Creature was playing a very clean game for 70% of that last game, just over committing and taking too much damage from the Oracle. Those are the only two things. Most of course, a different position, and he contains rather than tries to force the issue, and he's probably in a very good spot.
By the way, I don't know if we got it. Splat 101, new sub, hype. Johnny O, thank you guys both for joining the channel.
Hi.
Nice scout out of PiLiPiLi as he scoots on across the map. PvP is actually, it's weird. I feel like it's a matchup that requires scouting, but we actually don't see it all that often. And probes can get away with a lot of scouting for a very long time, an annoyingly long time.
Yeah. This is the most obnoxious thing probably about Protoss, just how long that probe gets to stay there. So the amount of times you'll see the truly cheesy proxies on any map except Proxima. Name for it because it's a proxy, I suppose.
Whoa.
It's pretty low. Because there's I don't think there's many reasons not to probe scout. And if you notice that someone doesn't probe scout, then that's totally a good reason to go for it.
Well, with the watchtowers being taken, it'll be pretty easy to see any attacks coming. It is Creature setting up the proxy pylon this time around. PiLiPiLi's currently looking for that, though.
Yep, pretty suspicious. I mean, he was the one that put the proxy pylon down, not to build a Stargate or a robe or anything like that, but just to provide the slow warpings for aggression. And that is the difference sometimes of being able to bust a natural and not being able to. So finding this, especially since it's already done, just free pylon for PiLiPiLi to take out.
Well, he's distracted by the pylon. These stalkers might get on top of him, though. We'll catch one of the stalkers, at least, out on its own. Well, losing the pylon would certainly suck. Losing the stalkers sucks a lot more, but PiLiPiLi's got his own reinforcements coming in now. Now keep in mind, Creature did win the Stalker War last game. See if we can do it again this game.
Yeah. Do you think?
Nah, it pushes it back. Keeps the pylon alive,
Yeah,
so we'll have those warp ins. Also, quick shouts and thank you to the folks over the Gauntlet throwing us a host our way. That's really kind of you. Hope you guys had a good time doing whatever it was you're doing. I'm assuming StarCraft, of course.
Oh. Probably. They have StarCraft 2 in their name. They can never not do StarCraft 2. They've locked themselves in.
Yeah, like Gillyweed and Masan and Trump and all those other folks.
Exactly. You can't just not have StarCraft 2 on your Twitter. You already have your Twitter, guys. You're ruined. Yeah. So that's not much happening in the early game.
They might be doing Soul Calibur 2. Fighting games are in.
Soul Calibur 2? Isn't that like super old now?
You gonna make fun of that while people are playing Smash Bros. And Street Fighter against each other? Hello?
Okay, but like Soul Calibur 2 is not some historic game that changed everything.
Not to you, but maybe to literally thousands of other people. You're being real condescending right now.
I am super curious if that is the case. I am open to being proven wrong. I just don't think I've ever heard Soul Calibur be noted as something that changed. Soul Calibur 2, specifically. Like, maybe Soul Calibur, the genre. It's not a genre, but like the, you know what I mean? Like, but not like a specific game. They're on Soul Calibur 6, by the way. If anyone wanted to know.
2's OG.
Shut up.
You know, when you fight somebody or you challenge someone to a duel, you would throw the gauntlet down before. It makes a lot of sense.
They should do fighting games just because of that.
Alright. So this actually hasn't gone anywhere too crazy. They've actually both opted for Blink this game, so no Stargate versus Robo dynamics. Which I guess I'm a little bit sad about because I thought that worked really well for PiLiPiLi. I think he certainly could have replicated it, but not wanting to take the chance, just go straight to Robo. His Forge a little bit behind, so he might be behind in upgrades, but really, we've seen enough PvPs through really good players that upgrades seem to be kind of negligible in some instances. Like, for example, you'd have a lot of games where Hearthstone would get +2 against 0 upgrades and still lose a game. Like, upgrades can be good, but how good are they?
Yeah. It's really weird. Usually upgrades can be just so obviously important. You know, +1 carapace for Lings, +1 melee for, you know, for Lings, I guess. Again, 1-1 upgrades for the Marines, but the +1s for PvP, especially like when it usually goes into Blink, Stalker, Disruptor, especially in North American region, it's like, is it really gonna be a difference maker? But it is occasionally. So
yeah, the nice thing about upgrades, regardless of whether you get them fast or not, Disrupt at the end of the day still blows away everything.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not suggesting that people to stop doing it because it's like disruptors really are the end all be all, but it is always curious to see the timings of it. It's like one of the few games I think I've seen the timings perfectly in sync to each other. Like usually one person goes for super late or super early, but they just went for the exact same timing. Bit of a difference though in their tier 3 tech. We have a Dark Shrine versus the more, you know, of course, typical Robotics Bay. Might be worth the payoff for PiLiPiLi, but if it was scouted, for instance, by Lucid Phoenix, then that would have just simply delayed his disruptors. And scouted. Gunk scouted. I feel like another big reason, but don't quote me on this, for getting a Forge, just in general, not just because of the upgrades, because at some point, I mean, you got 2 Protosses, like Dark Shrine's got to come into play, Charge Loud's come into play, like Harassment of some type is going to come into play. War Prism, whatever. So being able to put down cannons has got to be a bit of a relief. So for instance, exactly like right here, you would see the Dark Shrine and just easy peasy defense, put down cannons.
Yeah, at least one for detection if you don't have a probe handy and ready to go, or not probe, excuse me, observer, but this is going to be a little unfortunate. Creature's putting all of his production time into these disruptors, which, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing to do, but in doing so, doesn't have time to build observers. So he's got the one to rely on, and well, hopefully it doesn't get picked off.
That could be a nice snipe for PiLiPiLi, but you can never really tell because they're only observer. PiLiPiLi is going to be aggressive. He doesn't have that disruptor tech, but sometimes if the disruptor misses, then it really is just going to be a useless unit. So I think it's kind of what he's banking on. Because otherwise, 9 army supply lead isn't too much with defense advantage taken into account.
Oh boy, here comes that shot. It doesn't look like it's going to hit much. I think like 4 stalkers went down to it. The problem is with those forces on the ramp choking everybody out, it's hard to actually get in a position to defend the Nexus. The Disruptor on the front line goes down for Creature. Guardian Shield's helping out a little bit, but this is just looking a little bit too good for PiLiPiLi. Although Warpin's on the left side out of Creature might just flank. No, the Observer got picked off.
It did, yeah. I actually thought Creature was going to kill PiLiPiLi's Observer, but I think PiLiPiLi was intentionally focus firing, so that's just going to be it.
Yeah. No detection whatsoever. New Observer on the way, but it'll be too late. I mean, even without the DTs, he still wins the army fight. So those are on the left side picking up what they can. Disruptor gets an amazing hit, but it's not good enough. PiLiPiLi takes the series 2-0. And I guess he continues that win streak versus Creature.
Yeah, he does. And now he's going to be going on to face the winner of... Oh, no, he's going to go on to face No Regret. That's right. This is a round of 8 match.
Yep. So we'll be seeing PVZ coming up next. I guess we'll go draw the winner of the McChicken, the McChicken sauce. So a small commercial break while we do. We're going to hold off on giveaways till probably a little bit later because it is double elimination and we got a lot to go through. But I will say this, guys, one way or the other, either here now or at the end of the stream, sometime between the two, we are going to try and give away one of the BaseTradeTV t-shirts. I do hope you'll consider buying one. We've sold 37 so far, which is awesome, which is more like 35 because we've given away 2. But I do want to try and hit that 50 goal before the campaign is over. So consider checking out the shirts down below. If you think it looks good, consider buying one. And if not, fuck you. We'll be back soon.